Well, we'll try it again with a better signal, hopefully. Uh, this signal hopefully will come through loud and clear. I don't know how many people I lost. Probably everybody. I don't know if they'll pop back in here or not. But we'll try to. Hey, Greg. Now, yeah, I'm over here at the dealership. So, yeah, I didn't know how many people would pop back in here now. I decided to run over here and see if anybody'd be interested in talking some this morning. Uh, I'm trying to. I like having a good. Yeah, it does. It does. It has. I got the. What is it? I've got the high speed, but I also got. I paid for the even higher speed too with Time Warner. Well, it's not Time Warner anymore. It's Spectrum. I had to think of what it was. Spectrum. This is a Spectrum systems that I've got it wired directly into, and hopefully the signal will be a little bit better. That last one was terrible. I looked at it myself. Okay, you may start over again on the thief. Okay. Well, what happened? What happened was, I had a real good sale that I went to. They had a big industrial sale a week ago. Well, I guess was it a week ago? Yeah, a week ago Saturday, and or 2 weeks ago. I can't remember now. It might have been 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago. Anyway, I had a lot of merchandise, and it took us most of the previous week to get it all in because we had bought so much merchandise. I mean, I bought a lot of good, some of these high dollar chairs and tables that have workstations that have the base mount with them, and I bought computer systems and just a lot of different things for the office and some other big industrial work tools too. That I bought a pin setter and even helped another guy get his merchandise out, and I've got it ready to ship to him and everything. But yeah, that tensile strength tester, that's what I was. Uh, yeah, that tensile that took a long time getting out. We spent a better part of about 3 days. I'm trying to get the best signal I can here and the best lighting. But yeah, we spent the better part of 3 days just getting that machine out. So I had a lot of labor involved with that. Well, hey, Punk, I hope this a little bit better signal now. My signal a while ago was kind of ratty at the house and everything. I like going outside because it's pretty outside, but sometimes the signal's not as good. And over here at the dealership, of course, I have like I said, it's wired in direct with the system, and everything seems to work out pretty good over here. So I like having it over here. Yeah, I look just as bad. Actually, you may not want to see me clear or whatever, but I know when you're looking at a video, anybody on YouTube, regardless of what the content is, you want the content to be good, but you want the visual to be good too. Because if it's a bad visual, you don't like it as good. So I try to have I mean, this is all you're going to see is me here in the room, what we got in the room and that sort of stuff. But you know, we're the content we've got is basically what we're talking about, and uh, uneventful except for the theft this week. Like I said, what it was, the gentleman, and I say that lightly, gentleman. He's not a gentleman. He's a crook. He was a thief. He's a bona fide thief. He has stolen a lot of things. He came and with a stolen truck. And here's the thing about it. Monday morning, I bet I should have been clued to it right there. Monday, my guy that looks over the store here, sort of my manager, called me. He said, "Mike," he says, why'd you leave the trailer door open on that one?" I said, Yeah, that's probably it, a meth dude. Because this guy had to be high on something because he was on it. But anyway, Monday he called me. He said, "Why'd you have the door open on that trailer?" And I go, "I didn't." He said, "Well, somebody left the door open." I said, "Well, maybe somebody's messing with it." I should have taken heed to it right then and said, "Well, I need to get my most valuable stuff." Some of the merchandise they're not going to unload because it's too heavy, too bulky, and it's not pieces of things that people are going to ordinarily grab. I should have watched that trailer that had the monitors in it. I had it. I thought I had it secure, but as it goes, I didn't, and not secure enough anyway. And he had evidently looked at all my trailers and grabbed that one, a small trailer. Went out and stole him a pickup, so he have something to pull it with. Grabbed that small trailer, had monitors and file cabinets and a big display thing that would came up in the back that the monitors mounted with. But he ripped off half of that, and it had some computers in it and a few other things. I got to go through our inventory, and that's the other thing. I mean, now I'm subjected to insurance possibly going up if I do file a claim on this, and they're going to look at it, and I'm going to analyze everything out and see what we can do, because if it's going to be a situation that's going to cost me a bunch of money on the insurance, I may just have to wash my hands and say the heck with it, because you get to a point in time that what do you fight? Do you fight the insurance, or do you fight the thief? And if it's just going to be a claim, and the more claims you have, or if you start having claims, your insurance rates will go up. Well, then you're going to be paying for your claim right back, right there, and if that and more probably. Yeah, and that's what they did. They threw they took my stuff. They took my trailer 5:30 in the morning. We have it on video. Him coming around the building. We don't have video of him because the backside where the trailer was parked, we don't actually have cameras right now. I'm going to start putting camera. I've got 25 cameras now, but I'm gonna probably put another 10 cameras around this building, because I can see right quick that these thieves they're more rampant now. I think with the opiate crisis we have in the United States, and the fact that people, uh, are taking so many drugs and don't have jobs, can't keep jobs, and got to stay high on something, that they're doing that. They're to feed their habit and feed their family, I guess they steal. And then they have no morals at that point because they're doing drugs. And yeah, I'm thinking about putting some of the trackers. Well, I mean, they found this trailer. I mean, the trailer was found. The problem was not finding it. It was the problem how destructive this guy was. I mean, the trailer was found. The Cleveland County Police called me and said, we found your trailer. I mean, I have it tagged, licensed, and everything. And it's not like they do in South Carolina. You don't even have to have a tag for a trailer. But in North Carolina, you do, thank goodness. Now, this guy in particular was from South Carolina, too. I think he had stolen some things before and taken it across to South Carolina and tried to sell it. So, no, he didn't even take time for that. He didn't grind off the vent or anything. Like I said, the main thing he did, he jacked it, I guess, when he was turning, put a dent in my trailer. Whoops. I may have lost there's back. Okay. I may have lost my microphone there for a second. I have a Bluetooth microphone and it stays on 90% of the time, but it went off there. Yeah, this guy didn't care at all. He didn't. He was just destructive. Let me scoot up here so to make sure my mic's good. He was just hell bent on doing what he wanted to do. And I guess he got a high out of stealing too, because he, like I said, he stole the truck first. Then he stole my trailer about 5:30 in the morning. He took that truck and trailer, trashed the truck too. The truck, I mean, the truck in the video didn't look that bad. After he got my trailer and everything else, he went. I mean, that it was a 4-wheel drive Avalanche, and he destroyed it. I saw it at the police impound. So he's ruined that guy's Avalanche, which was a decent looking truck. And after he ditched that, yeah, I know. I got to track. I got to track. He ditched the trailer and the truck, the first truck. He ran across my buddy's property, Mike Steele, down here, that's in the grading business. He got his Dodge pickup. He had a Dodge Dually with a flatbed on it, and he got it, and it's got a 6-speed behind the Dodge engine, and a good truck. And he I don't know how many miles he drove, but they found it in Hickory. They called him the next morning, and they found it in Hickory, because that was I think he stole his truck about 5 or 6 in the afternoon after he had ditched my stuff. They found the trailer and everything. They called me about 6 something, and no, it must have been earlier than that when they stole it. It must have been around 4, I think, when they stole his pickup. But he was out on a job with his service truck, and his utility truck, one he normally drives the jobs and everything, was sitting at his house. And unfortunately, he had left some guns in the truck too. Mike is he's licensed with his guns, so he lost some guns in the process. But this crazy guy and this girl that was with him too, he had a girl. Yeah, I know it. Put him in a grinder, then throw it 16 feet. I know people are mean. People are mean. But after he did that, and like I said, he took Mike's truck and ran it for about, I don't know, 40, 50 miles. And they called him the next morning. They found his truck abandoned up in Hickory, which is about 35, 40 miles from here. And he had to go up there and pick up his truck, and the clutch was tore out of it. He went up there to get it, him and his daughter. When he gets up there, he finds out his clutch is out of it, so he has to call to get a rollback brought up. And then he got that. But that guy abandoned that truck, stole another trailer, and was out doing more damage. They finally got him Friday afternoon, July 5th. That's when they got him. It started on July 1st, I guess you might say. And it took them to July 5th to actually catch this guy. I mean, he was doing everything. I think he's in his mid-30s. I'm thinking. I don't know. I haven't actually seen the arrest report, so I don't know. He used to work for a guy. Actually, and I think this guy didn't even realize he stole from his former employer, because Randy Moss had a golf cart up at a friend of ours' farm, and he was letting that guy use his golf cart, and he stole the golf cart. And this guy, when we finally found his name and everything else, Randy said, "Oh crap!" He said, "That's a lousy piece of crap." He had actually worked for Randy. Randy has a powder coating and used to have a welding business too. So he does that, and it was just a piece of crap. Yeah, I know it. I'm gonna have to look it up. If I can get a copy of it, I'll might post it or whatever. If I can get a copy, or at least read it to everybody. He definitely is a type that runs people's insurance rates up. That's for sure. Yeah, he's got to be able-bodied, because he was destructive as heck. I mean, he was throwing my stuff out the back of the trailer so he could get to the good stuff. He was throwing, we had it stacked up pretty good. So he was going through that, and that was trash to him, even though it was good stuff. It was in his way, so he started throwing it out into a ditch. so I could, lose that basically. And it rained on it and everything else. It ruined it. So I'm just out a lot of product there. Yeah, it's here I am, 68 years old, and I'm out here still working, still doing physical labor, and still doing things like that. And then you've got this guy that's in his 30s that should be in the prime of his life physically, and he's out doing dirty work, stealing. So you don't know, you don't. It's terrible what people like that will do. But you know, what do you say? They do what they're going to do. Yeah, yeah. Well, that guy better be glad that Mike Steele didn't get him first, because Mike Steele would have. I think he would have put a bullet in him and then asked questions, because Mike does not have Mike has a temper. I mean, he has a short fuse, and he's a great guy, but you don't want to cross him. He's that type guy, and he he works hard for his money, and he wants everybody else to work hard too. I mean, he's in construction. Oh, I know it. This this guy, like I said, he, he's a case. He's a case. I mean, I don't know what you say about people like that uh, have no they have no incentive to do anything other than be destructive toward other people. I mean, I don't get it. I do not get it. I mean, I don't appreciate. I like most of you guys probably the same way I am. I can't stand a thief. Not somebody that's gonna go out there and just steal from you. I mean, I guess I have a little empathy if if somebody was starving and they had to get something to eat. That's different. But for somebody that's just being destructive and just going out and tearing people's merchandise up or their property up for no reason whatsoever, other than they want to get the, I guess, the cream of the crop. Let's steal this guy's whole trailer full of stuff. We'll throw away what we don't want, and we'll keep the good of it. That kind of stuff. Yeah. Well, I'd like to, you'd like to say you'd do that. I would definitely watch. I'm too old to beat anybody up. I mean, at my age, if I hit somebody else, I'll hurt myself. So you get it to a tipping point. And I used to be that guy. I used to be the guy like y'all guys. Hey, you cross me, I'd whoop tail. And uh, but when you get to be 68 years old, you use the fist, you hit something, then you go, crap, I've hurt the heck out of my fist. You know, it's almost counterproductive to get out and fight something when you get too old. You'll understand one day. I mean, the old skin gets thin, uh, along with the hair and everything else is going. It's a but still have a good decent amount for an old man anyway. But it comes a point in time. Yeah, I mean, I've done things. I mean, that's to give you for instance. I mean, I used to get out and kind of do some athletic things with my grandson. While he was a little bit younger, or whatever. Get out and run, and I would about die after that. I mean, my son and we were actually playing around at one of my grandson's soccer games, and we're just talking about running. And both of us used to run. I used to be on the track team, and I took off running, and I still can do it for a few feet, but I can't. I don't have any endurance. But I took off, and because I had not stretched and everything else, I guess I got a Charlie horse, and I actually bruised my muscles on my legs. I mean, I almost pulled something bad, but I had bruises up my legs from when I was trying to run. I mean, that's what happens when you get older. So it gets tough. My son's 46 now, and here I am. I'm 68, My grandson's 14. And, in our minds, we think we can still do things. And, I can do some physical things up to a certain point. But what happens, when you get my age, you got to be careful. I mean, because, I've hurt my shoulder. I've hurt my shoulder. I still have a shoulder that's hurting of something I did several months ago. And I saw the doctor months ago and I said, Doc, what can I do about this? I said, I've been taking Advil when it gets bad. He says, well, let's make an assessment of this. If you have an operation, you try to fix something like that, at your age, you may do more damage than you do good. So you have to kind of grin and bear it and let it barely heal itself a little at a time. Oh, that Charlie horse was terrible. I mean, I seriously, after we did it, within just a few hours, my leg had black streaks up the leg because I had strained it that badly. And I had to ice it down and everything when I got home. I guess it was more of a pull. It was a tear pull than it was a Charlie horse. So, I mean, I actually probably did some damage, but it didn't hurt it too awful bad. So, but you got to be careful like I said, as we get older and if you still feel good, you think you can do things and then you actually try to get out there and do them and you realize, hey, I'm not doing this on a regular basis and it can really hurt me to do it. So I have to be a little more cautious of what I do at times at my age. I mean, I can still do it. I can still lift things. I still work. I still work out. But the days when you used to just grab something and put it up, it's tough on you now. You'll hurt your back, you'll hurt your legs, you hurt your arms. My wife actually, when she was out working a year or two ago, she actually pulled a tendon in her arm. And what they did, and it was very painful, they went in there and actually cut the top of the muscle because they said they could go in there and repair it, but the repair would be worse. And it actually just let it flap because by doing that, it took the pain away. Now she still has muscle, but it's just that one muscle that they went in there and arthroscopically cut it, and it just let it flap. And they said that was better for it than. No, I hadn't started the concrete. My concrete guy took off last week. I got to get up with him today or tomorrow and see if we want to do it this week. My wife may not want to do it this week because we actually have a family reunion next Sunday. So I'll be busy with that a lot. My wife might be fussing at me busy with that next Sunday. So next Sunday we have the Rudisell family. My wife was a Rudisell, and we're going to be having probably 40, 50 people at the house next week. So we may put off the concrete work at least one more week, unless we feel like we can get it all up, because I've got to dig up some cement and asphalt. And I said asphalt work, it's a cement work. We're putting it all back in cement is what we're going to do. I'm going to probably going to pour about 30 or 40 yards of cement. I actually hadn't figured it out myself, how much it is, but we're going to be doing that. Yeah. Yeah. Now you can get carpal tunnel. Now it's sort of ironic. My wife's brother is an orthopedic surgeon, and that's what he specializes in is carpal tunnel syndrome. He goes in there and repairs, carpal tunnel right here on your wrist. A lot of people get this inflamed, and the reason they call it carpal tunnel, and I had no idea why they called it that. With your wrist bone here, it's got an opening that all these muscles and tendons go through out here, and it bundles down into it looks like a rope almost that goes through that into your fingers and your extremities past your wrist. So right in here, they go in there and repair the muscle and the tendons and everything else. And that's repetitive work syndrome. When, in other words, if you're on a assembly line and you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, that's generally the people that get carpal tunnel. People that the average person doesn't get it unless there's something else that causes it. But generally speaking, it's for the assembly line worker or the somebody that does repetitive work like that. Not always assembly, but assembly line workers are probably the top priority, or the top abusers, or people that get a carpal tunnel the worst, and that's what he fixes. Yeah, now you'll get that, and that does the same thing too. If you're running impact for a long time, it's tough on the wrist, and uh, you know anything that would cause inflammation within that area, would you could get carpal tunnel. And but Ed, my brother-in-law, that's been his special. He does that and reattaches fingers and everything. He runs a clinic. Well, they got a practice there called the Hand Center in Greenville, South Carolina, and he made national news. Oh gosh, it's been 15, 20 years ago, where some guy in the South Carolina area had gone like overseas, or was coming back from the ocean or something, and had gotten, I forgot exactly what it was, but he had been in some sort of marine accident or something, and had lost a bunch of fingers and part of his, no, or no, that might have been one, lost the arm, but he's reattached complete arms. And it takes, I think that was the guy that lost his incomplete arm. And Ed was one of the first in the area in the southeast that was actually licensed and studied and everything for that. He had gone overseas. He'd been to Germany and all over. He's got degrees out the yin yang on this, and he did real well with it. Still does real well, but he reattached that guy's arm, uh, and they had him on the national news. It was on national news back. I'm wanting to say 20 years. It's probably been 20 years ago now, but it made national news, and he was the doctor that did it, and all that sort of stuff. And it was sort of a horrific accident. It was one of those Good Morning America type, stories when they did it and showed everything on TV. But he was one of those that came out in this white coat and explained what went on and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, yeah. When you get older, Chris, yeah, your hands and your back and everything else. And I've seen some of those tricks. That's why I said you and Ricky scare me sometimes, because I don't want y'all boys getting hurt. But uh, you know, and not to say I haven't done the same thing and that I won't do it again, but sometimes I look at it like, oh God, don't do that, Ricky. Don't do that, Chris. But you know, it's like I said, about us rednecks. The famous last words of a redneck. Hey y'all, watch this. you know. So that's what we get sometimes with being the you know all of us rednecks out here. We can get our butts in trouble sometime. But that being said, oh wow, yeah. See, now I'm gonna show y'all something. I don't know if you can see it or not. I've got a scar. Talking about things. Let me see if I can get it. I have a scar that extends from right here all the way to right there. I don't know if y'all can see it. It's light colored now, but I did that when I was 11, 11 years old, I believe it was 11 or 12. And it was something foolish that I did as a kid. And so I don't have full use of my arm. I'm going to show you this too. Now, as you can see right here, like here's, let me see if I can turn the camera around here a little bit so you can figure it out here. Okay, there's full uses of a normal arm. Here's this arm. And it does not, that's as far back as you see it bounces right there. That's as far back as I can get it. It's about, I got about 85% usage of that arm, but it's stiff because, ooh, I didn't even hurt myself then. And I can't extend it full either because I had to go through physical therapy and everything when I was a kid after breaking that arm real bad. And I only have one artery in this arm. This arm is actually a little bit smaller than my right arm. There's my right arm, and my left arm is a little bit smaller. Well, what I was doing, I'll tell you what I was. My dad had put he was making a country swing for us. He'd put two telephone poles in the ground, and then he took, he made what he did, he got a truck axle, a straight axle, and extended it from one end to the other end of the telephone poles, and they were up about 10 foot. He was putting a country swing. He wanted a nice one. He didn't want a little bitty small rickety one. He wanted a strong one. So Dad was building a big one. He was building a strong one. It was down below. It was down at the bottom of our property, and it was near a creek. And it was a nice setting. It was going to be a nice, peaceful place to go swing. But Dad didn't have the swing up, but he had everything else. He had the telephone poles mounted, and he had the axle across there. Big truck axle, about yay big around. And he had that extended all the way across. And then he was he was going to drill some holes in the bottom of it and put some eyelets down and put the country swing in it, have a nice big area there for it and real comfortable and something that wouldn't rock and something, if you did want to get a good little swing, you can get a good little healthy swing. But anyway, he built that, and me and my brother that's just older than me and a neighbor kid that was a year older than me also, and they were both bigger. We were all out there. We took one of Mom's stools out of the bar stools that was out in the basement, and we took it outside, and we were standing on it, and then we were jumping and then swinging manually on that swing, just on the axle. And we were pulling it further and further back to see how far we could jump, as kids do. Who can do it the best? Well, they got it pretty far back, and they both made it. And then it was my turn, and they said, "No, Mike, you're too little. You can't make it." Oh yeah, I can. I wasn't going to be outdone by them. I was going to meet the challenge. It's like playing horse. So I was going to meet the challenge. So what I did, and I was probably, oh God, I hate to think how far back. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine now because I'm thinking as an 11-year-old. But I made a dive for it and just barely caught it with my fingers. And of course, I didn't have a grip around it like I had on the previous times that would slow me down. I just barely had a hold of it. And when I did, it flipped me way up high. And we were already high anyway. And so I probably came down straight down on my back from about probably eight to 10 feet high, down straight back. And of course, I put my hands back to, like you normally would do, to keep from getting a blow. And I was probably a little more to the left. And when I did, it severed. It broke the arm. The arm actually went through my artery and broke the joint. And you talking about pain, it was painful. Broke it in 5 places. That's how bad. In other words, when it hit and broke the bone in several places and severed that artery. But I was running up the hill and I said, "Oh no, I broke my arm. And my brother D that was with me, he said, "Oh, let me see. I said, no, I broke my arm." And he said, and he took my other hand to see what it was. And when he did, my arm flopped and then went completely around. In other words, it didn't stop because it had broken the elbow and everything. I mean, I hate to describe it so bad, but they had to remove my artery at my shoulder. So I have a very weak pulse in this left arm. And they thought that it was going to be so bad that one doctor wanted to amputate my arm. That's how bad it was. But my dad was insistent, thank goodness. And he said, no, we're calling in a specialist. He said, I've got good insurance. We're calling in a specialist. We're going to get this boy. We're going to get whatever it takes to get this boy's arm fixed. Well, it was such a shock. I imagine they were, but it was such a shock. I mean, it was just one of those things you try to address the problem. They rushed me to the hospital, and that was some of the most horrific pain that I'd ever had in my life. I mean, I could feel every bump. The dad had a '54 Cadillac, and he was letting it roll over to the Shelby Hospital. And every bump that he hit, oh, I'd let out a scream because it was just killing me. And I remember they got over there. Well, I had to stay in the hospital a month. That's how severe it was. I mean, in the hospital, it wasn't just, and they had me in tractions. They had back then. Now, this was 19. I'm gonna tell you when it was. It's a sort of a historical date. You can look it up. I had to look it up myself. The, one of the weeks that I was over there, like I said, I was over there 3 or 4 weeks. Marilyn Monroe died. That was the week that Marilyn Monroe died. So you can kind of look it up on historical. That was a historical event that happened while I was in the hospital, because I remember that happening and all that sort of stuff. And I remember it ruined my summer because that was we used to we planted corn and did all the corn work on the farm, and we would go swimming, and that was it happened. I want to say it happened in July, and I got out of the hospital in August sometime. I think but it happened in July, if I'm not mistaken, something like July 28th or July 25th, somewhere in there is when it actually happened. And they kept me in the hospital until August, probably August 20th or something like that, before I got out of the hospital. So it was, well said. I didn't, yeah. Yeah, it was around 62. I mean, look up on the internet if you got the internet there. Let me see if I can Google it here. When it was the week that one of the weeks that Marilyn Monroe died. I don't know if I got. Let me go to Google here on this computer, and we'll see when it was. Oh man, it was in August. I remember that. She see. August 4th, 1962. Yeah, that's when she died. August 4th, 19. Okay. Yeah, so it was 62. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, August 4th, 5th. Yeah. August 4th, it says on this one. Yeah, that's when Marilyn Monroe died. So yeah, it was that was the time frame. I mean, that's the one reason I can always remember that. I can remember, a lot of dates you don't remember, but that one I can remember exactly. So if it was, how old would I have been? I was 11 years old. So in 62, I was born in 51. So I was 11. I had just turned 11 years old when that happened. So it's dangerous. It really is. It can really be dangerous. And that's one of the things. And that's something I call this my weather arm. It's my weather barometer, because when it rains, boy, that arm will let you know real quick. I mean, that started on from an early age. I mean, when the humidity, I guess, or something. But if a bad storm comes up, that's like a weather vane right there. Because I'll get the pain in that elbow. I go, oh God, rain's coming. Okay, she died on the 4th, and they found her on the 5th. Okay, yeah, but I mean that's I was in the hospital during that time. Like I said, that's kind of way that's how I relate to, you think about national events like that. That's makes it easy to relate to it that way. But yeah, that's so that happened to me. Oh, how many years ago was that? Almost 60 years ago. I was 11. I was 50. I was 11, so I'm 68. That's 59 years ago, 59 years ago, something like that. So that's been that was a tough time in my life. But I got most of the use of the I mean, I went on in high school and played football and ran track and everything else. It probably stunted me some because of that, but I mean, I was able to, of course, be a truck driver and fine. And mm. Yeah, now I've got a little girl that you're talking about, a mowing accident. I've got a little girl that works for me now here at Napa that does a great job, but she doesn't have a leg from the knee down because she did something similar with a lawnmower. She slid down while her mom and dad were mowing and slid under the lawnmower and it mangled up her foot. And they had to airlift her out. And she's 18. She just turned 18 years old. Nice little girl, smart girl, and she wants to be a mechanic, believe it or not. And she's working out here at my Napa store, but I believe it's her left leg. It's her left leg, I think, that she lost. And but she slid under when she was like 5 years old, slid under the lawnmower and it just tore her foot, never mangled her up. And they basically, amputated her leg from the knee down because it was so bad. So she has a prosthetic leg, but she's a good girl, smart girl, and of course, she wears long pants, and you don't notice it. And I mean, she's come in here with short pants before, uh, but I don't think she likes to wear them that much. But she has a prosthetic leg. No, I don't baby. I don't have to baby it so much, but I have to. I mean, for when I was younger, I guess I favored it a good bit, and I watched it because I didn't want to hurt it. And my mother and dad were always real critical. They didn't want me to go out for sports after that. I mean, I was in therapy, and because I did all that, and they were afraid if I broke my arm again that they may have to amputate it or something like that. But at that point, when I was 14 or 15, I was getting muscled up and I was looking a little more manly, and I wanted to be in the mix like everybody else wants to be at that time. So, I strengthened the arm up, and the arm's strong. Don't get me wrong. I mean, strong. It's just not as large. I don't like I said. I don't know if you can tell. Uh, this arm is smaller, not tremendously, but it's. I mean, this ain't a Popeye arm, and this is not. But I still got some guns for an old man. Hey, mechanic Mike. Yeah, I'm late getting started. Well, I've had to start twice. I've had I had a little issue at my house. So if you saw the other video, I'm gonna probably take it down because I did, and it was kind of funky looking and everything. But I got back in here. Like got most of the guys that jumped in, jumped out, or whatever, and try to put on a show. But probably going to have to do more of them from over here when I do the live ones because my signal's good over here. I think everything's coming through good over here, isn't it, guys? I guess I can get a thumbs up. But the signal is a lot better at my dealership uh, because I said, well, my store, not dealership. But the signal's good here because I'm wired in direct. I'm not. Uh, I'm not running through Wi-Fi and just a lot of things that I've got at my house. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. I'm hoping that. Yeah. I'll probably have to start doing them more over here, and I need to start putting some videos up too. I'm gonna. I got to get my numbers up. I don't push my numbers like some people do, and but I probably need to get my numbers up a little bit from where they are and see if people are interested in what I'm saying. I try to make it interesting. It's my life. I'm just telling my life story, like a lot of people are. And if they want to tune in, they tune in. If they don't, they don't. Yeah, I might have to do that. I put some new seats in it this week. We're working on it. We started working on it this week. I've ordered a new a fuel cell, not gas tank, fuel cell. I ordered a new fuel cell from Summit Racing. So I'm gonna get that. I should have that in tomorrow or Tuesday. You know, but I've got what I had to do. The guy before me had the fuel cell. He had a more boxy fuel cell, and I didn't have any space back there in my trunk, and even the rumble seat was just useless because there was no floor space. So what we're doing, we're rebuilding the rumble seat, and I'm gonna actually cover over the fuel cell that I'm getting and build me a new seat and hopefully get it. Yeah, it's I like it. It's neat, and I may put an AC unit in it. I haven't got that in it. First off, it was I could smell gas in it too bad. Well, we found out when we was pulling out the seats and everything, he put the vent right behind the other seats, and that's so I was smelling everything coming off that vent. So I smelled like a race car driver when I got out of it. So I didn't like that. So and my wife definitely didn't like that. But we took out I, I took out the what I call the Jeff Gordon seats. If y'all have ever seen Jeff Gordon small, and I took out. He had two seats in it. It was the formed around formed around your butt seats. Well, he had the Jeff Gordon size seats in it, and I got a Jimmy Spencer type body. If you remember Jimmy Spencer, so oh yeah, okay, I'll do that. I'll try to do the concrete pour too because Thomas, the guy that I have helped me on that, he's real good. He's a uh, he's a black man that has done lots of concrete work for me over the years. He's real. He's 70. I think Thomas told me the other day he's 72, but he's stout. He's you would think he's 52. I mean, he gets around great, and you wouldn't even recognize that he's as old as he is. But he's real talented. A real good talker. He likes to he likes to talk a bunch. But he'll have his crew out there helping me out. We're going to have to dig up all the like I said the old asphalt and the old concrete and haul it off, and then we'll clear it out, make put up our forms and everything, and then be ready to pour. But I'll see what Thomas wants to do this week. See if we can get it all done because I've got to have it done. I don't want to get into a commitment and mess up, have all these forms and everything up when I got to do a reunion next Saturday. So I don't know if we're going to put it off or if he thinks he can get it done tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow and Tuesday and Wednesday or whatever. Shouldn't take us but 2 or 3 days. I mean, just cleaning out what we got and then putting forming it up and be ready to go from there. But we should be good. Yeah, yeah. I'll have to. I'll see if I've got these small cameras I can probably position out there, and uh, if I can just put them out there and just leave them, then I come back and edit that later and everything, put that up. I tried doing that when I was doing all this remodeling here, but uh, sometimes the camera work got in the way of actually doing real work. So you sometimes don't you don't get the good camera work. I'm not a cameraman and that sort of stuff. So I sometimes miss out on that. Yeah, rain is real unpredictable because we've had afternoon thunderstorms to beat the band. So you're doing a metal roof right now. You're not worried about the basement. Well, it's definitely probably going to be nice and soft to dig down there when you get back down there, won't it, Chris? I mean, is that good red dirt? I can't remember. Y'all got a good red dirt out there, hadn't you, for the basement? I mean, believe it or not, that good red solid dirt. I mean, that does pack well and everything. So if you're gonna, yeah, I mean, yeah, you could about throw some mix down there and tamp it as wet as it gets like that, and just make your own cement. But it make it like an adobe style, I guess you might say. Yeah, I think you were doing it pretty good. I don't think you actually got some of the footing poured, didn't you, Chris? Before all the rain came. I know that's the scary part. I mean, you want to be able to if you get your footers in, then then you start building your piers where you need them. You're in pretty good shape. Just be sure and get deep footers. I got some cement from that sale that I bought. They had some real big. I'd show them to you. I mean, I got some huge concrete, and I put some of them out front of the building here because we got metal and glass in front, and I want to be able to keep people from driving through the front of the building. Yeah, I mean that's what you got to be careful of. I mean, just don't erode that old foundation and everything. But if you get a new one in and get the piers up in time, you'll be fine. Yeah. Now, do you have a lot of red dirt that you can pack out there, Chris, or is it more limestone? Limestone's scary when you got it. I know we had a friend's basement. We had to dig way down before we get some good stout, and then we finally got on like a flat part of limestone, and then backfilled on it and tamped around that because it kept going deeper and deeper. We got it was a deep basement. You got to, but a limestone's terrible. You don't have any red soil. I like good. You can't beat good red clay for a foundation. I mean, it's some of the best. I mean, even I was looking at these roads. We're building a whole bunch of new roads over here, and these locations where they can just dig into the earth and get that big this the red clay of the Carolinas and everything. It makes some good compaction. I can tell you that. I mean, if you're doing road beds or cement beds or anything, that you can't beat the compaction that you can get out of that. Oh, I know. I can imagine. Like I said, I've been through some of the similar projects like what you're doing, and you've got a huge undertaking there. That's for sure, Chris. I mean, it's and like I said, I know firsthand. We built my son's house. Actually, what we did, we bought a house that the school system had built, and then we brought it out to where his location was to his lot, and then added on to it. But we actually brought it out, put it on steel, and built had steel on top of the cribbing, and then built a basement underneath this house up on the cribbing. And that was a job. That was an undertaking there, but we did it. My son wanted to have a basement like that. Yeah, I mean, you can get into it like that. It can be very expensive. It can be very expensive. I mean, and concrete's not cheap anymore. I think concrete's what, about 130 a yard now or something like that. I haven't priced it lately. And then if you got somebody doing the finishing work, what's concrete going for out there? Well, Mike, you have a good time going to Chicago, and we'll see you at another time. Yeah, what's concrete going for out in Kansas now, Chris? Like I said, I think it's about 130 out here. Concrete goes at different, prices different places. 90 a yard, golly, you're doing good. We're running at about 125, 130 out here a yard. I mean, so cost of getting stuff done. Cost of getting stuff done. Well, guys, I have given it another hour. It says I've been on here 56 minutes, and I'm about running out of breath and things to talk about. And I've enjoyed it getting back out here the second time. So y'all take care, and I'll see y'all next week. And I'll probably come from here, this location, so I won't have to do the mess up anymore. Yeah, I guess so. I guess they are doing a lot of windmill stuff. Y'all guys take care. See you next week.